Today we're going to talk about why it's important to say no often as a product manager and how to do it the right way. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video. My name is Alex. If you're new to this channel, you want to learn about business and product management, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss anything. This is video number 4 in the Product Manager Training Series, Product Management Fundamentals. The importance of saying no, why you should do it often, and how to do it the right way. First, some housekeeping. Make sure to smash the like button and recommend this video to your builder friends and other folks who may be interested in product management or business. We touched upon this in the prioritization episode. Make sure to check that out here. That's one of our other fundamentals, product manager training videos. And we're going to expand a little bit more on that concept. Prioritization means you're going to have to focus on some things, which means you're going to have to say no to a lot of other stuff. You're going to have to say no to the majority of stuff. And the product manager is usually the one who's responsible for actually delivering that no and making sure it's delivered the right way. We're going to talk about why it's important to say no definitively and how to do it the right way. By the way, if you're new to product management, you want to learn how to break into the career path, make sure to check out this video. It's got all the info you need to get started. In order to understand the importance of saying no, we're going to get into the cost of doing the wrong thing at different companies. The cost of doing the wrong thing at startups, mid-tech, or big companies can be completely different. The cost of doing the wrong thing at a startup could actually mean the difference between life and death of the company in its entirety. Mid-sized business, doing the wrong thing could set the company back significantly and potentially cause years of further problems. In the biggest tech companies, choosing the wrong thing by itself does not doom the company in the short term. However, lots of people agreeing and deciding to do the wrong thing or just not being able to say no and stop the wrong thing from being executed will eventually lead that company to decline. You can see this happen throughout history. Big companies that stopped innovating, that stopped moving, ended up heading into decline and eventually some of them into total collapse. So while in the short term, it might be more felt if you're in a startup, that wrong decision, doing the wrong thing, not prioritizing correctly, or not being able to say no can actually mean the difference between life and death. In the long term, for even the bigger companies, it could also mean the same thing. My position is that you should generally, especially after you've made your decision on which direction to take the product or the company, you should say no to most things. There really aren't that many good ideas or that many important things to focus on, especially after you've made your strategy. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be flexible, but keep in mind that if you're tempted to take on 10 things and you know you can only handle 3 and all 10 are fantastic directions and you think they're going to bring great success, the reality is you still can't do 10 because you're restricted by only what you can actually deliver, what your team can actually deliver. If you sign up to more things than you can handle, you don't say no appropriately, you yourself might get burnt out or fatigued. The same thing can happen to your team. There's going to be anxiety from oversubscribing, from overpromising, and then having to deliver. And most often, if you do 10 things, chances are all 10 of those are not going to be done well, which means you're potentially risking the areas that you actually prioritized. Also, whenever you don't say no to an initiative and you actually see that initiative through and you keep moving forward, you got to keep in mind the opportunity cost. What else could you or your team or your company have been doing in this time? Is this really the best thing to be doing? So it's not just the cost of doing the action itself, it's also the opportunity cost. What else could you be doing? So that means that if you're saying yes to the wrong thing and you're afraid to say no, or you didn't say no for some reason, and you do that action and it's the wrong action, then not only did you spend your time, effort, and resources in your teams and your companies on doing the wrong thing, but also the cost of not doing the right thing gets added to that one. So keep in mind the opportunity cost. It's not just comparing what something costs in terms of time and resources, but it also is comparing what else you could have been doing, what's on the other side of the scale. And theoretically, if you have a strong team, strong company, then the opportunity cost becomes bigger and bigger because there's so many other things that you could be doing that would bring a benefit to the user, to the company, to the product. And so whenever you're comparing doing something else, make sure you're comparing it to the very best of other options that you could be doing as opposed to nothing. This is also known as just taking on too many obligations, personally or professionally. Hopefully by now you understand the importance of saying no to everything except the most strategically important items. Now let's talk about the right way to say no to keep relationships in good standing and to keep the project and the company moving forward. So when you've got stakeholders coming to you, this could be your managers, this could be your direct reports, this could be your team members, this could be other teams entirely, this could be other companies coming to you with ideas and proposals and features and changes and urgent requests. You're going to have to say no to a lot of those things. And how are we going to do that? How are you going to be able to say no? So the first thing, and I talk about this a lot, is to have principles for your product or company. Have some vision or some mission statement, something that you and your entire team is oriented around. What problem are you solving? What are you helping the user with? How are you helping the company? What's your 1-sentence or 2-sentence mission statement? That mission statement is going to be your rock that you're going to keep coming back to whenever you need to say no. And as we learned, you're going to say no a lot. So you're going to say, unfortunately, we can't do that this cycle because it doesn't align with our overall mission objectives as much as some of these other initiatives that we're doing. Of course, as always, whenever you get a new request, feature, any of these things we just talked about, it's always important to be appreciative and respectful. Thank you very much for your suggestion for this feature. We really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. We're going to take this suggestion. We're going to process it. We have a backlog. And my recommendation, by the way, this becomes a little bit like a PM joke to put everything in the backlog, but I actually have a document that's just called the backlog where literally everything gets thrown in and gets reviewed every week. And we'll talk about that on a separate video, and I'll link to it when it's ready right there. You can come back, you'll see it here, about how to manage your backlog correctly to minimize frustration for yourself and your team. But the first thing you want to do is you want to say, we appreciate the feedback. We're going to add it to the backlog. One thing I recommend also is not making a decision on the spot. Try not to make on the spot decisions. Try not to commit to anything on the spot, no matter how urgent it may seem. The only thing you can definitely commit to right away is that you'll put it on the backlog. You will actually add it to your backlog, to your list of items to consider for the product, for the company. Discuss that list on a weekly or bi-weekly basis with the rest of your team or the key stakeholders, key team members, in order to figure out what you should be focusing on in the near term and the longer term. Then each time as you process the backlog, weigh everything against your mission statement, your vision, your principles of your product or company, and the impact that it's going to have. How much is this idea, concept, or initiative going to move you toward your objectives over what period of time? Just the impact over time. If you want to learn about how to put together your mission statement, your company or product vision, check out this video right here. We're going to be talking about how to craft your mission, your narrative with your whole team, something that makes sense and can drive you forward and help you get alignment. That brings us to the next step, which is delivery of the no. We kind of touched upon this. You want to be respectful and appreciative, and you want to try to frame the situation in a way that your key mission objective and your key impact criteria are highlighted as much as it's possible to the person or organization that's actually bringing you this new initiative or feature. Always be respectful, appreciative. Don't make decisions on the spot. Commit to giving an answer within a certain period of time. Now, ideally, with this response, and as you eventually do process the backlog and you make a decision about whether or not you're going to be doing this particular feature or request, most of the time the answer is going to be no. But when you deliver that no, you need to try to align that person to your broader objectives. Try to get buy-in from that person about what your overall objectives are. If it's a team member, you should always be driving for alignment about what is the most important thing for your product and why that's the most important thing. Why is this the primary metric? And explain how this particular feature or aspect will not impact that metric as much as the other 4 or 5 items on your backlog that you are delivering on in the short term, and how it may not deliver in the long term as well as compared to the other items on your list. Most likely, eventually, any reasonable feature that actually moves things towards that metric, towards your key objective, can actually eventually get done. Some features that don't align entirely with the mission, with the vision, with what you're trying to do, and align with driving impact on that key metric will not be done ever. And it's important to identify that and actually present that to the person and explain why. Because this is optimizing for a different metric, or a metric that is not our key metric. And it's important to get buy-in from that person as much as possible. You're not going to be able to get buy-in from everyone, but this is a great opportunity to recalibrate the person who's bringing you this information and get them going in the same direction as the rest of the team, product, or company. As a product manager, you're going to need to do a lot of these conversations, a lot of these alignment conversations. And I have a separate video talking about the attributes that you need to have as a product manager. And it's an important video to watch to see if you actually are going to make it as a product manager. So check that out right there. The other thing is, you're having these conversations and during your cross-functional meetings, try to empower the team to say no as well. A lot of times the team will take on extra work. Individual team members might take on tasks that they did not want to take on because they didn't know how to say no. So go over this process with them, empower them to say no, empower them to prioritize, and continue to explain the importance of prioritization and the importance of focusing on the key elements that need to be done. It's very easy to fall into the trap of just answering this email or doing this task or taking this meeting instead of moving the things that you need to move forward. And the same exact thing could and does happen to your team members. So check in on them. Make sure during the cross-functional meetings and other one-on-ones, you're actually explaining the importance of saying no, and try to get other folks in your team to adopt these principles as well. Always remember to focus on impact. You've got your key metric. What are you trying to do with this product? What's the impact that this feature is going to drive over what period of time? That's going to allow you to prioritize, pick the important stuff. Everything else goes on the backlog later or never. And you're going to have to say no to those items. Remind your team members of the opportunity cost, not just the cost of an action, but also the opportunity cost. What else could they be doing? Are there low-hanging fruit? Is there something we can leverage to have oversized impact for the level of effort? Remember, it's all about the most impact for the least effort. Although at first you might expect that this is a negative and you will be perceived negatively for saying no all the time, you will find that over time you're actually going to develop a reputation as someone who is able to hold the line against tasks that don't have as much importance of driving impact and focusing on the exact right stuff for the product. So it might be hard at first, but stay at it. Eventually other people are going to want to learn to say no just like you. Lead by example. Saying no will allow you to stay focused, deliver maximum impact you can. This is an important way of thinking like a product manager. I have a separate video talking about other ways you can think like a product manager. It's an important video to check out if you haven't already. If you like this video, make sure to smash the like button, and as always, subscribe and hit the little bell so you don't miss anything. We're gonna have a lot of different types of videos coming in the next few weeks. I'm gonna be doing interviews with folks in big companies to see how they got there, talk about their path, and I'm gonna be posting some videos from the resume workshop that we did, and I'm gonna be announcing some future resume workshops. Let me know down in the comments if you're interested in having a Q&A session with me on YouTube Live. I'm thinking about going live and just answering some of your top questions. Let me know if you're interested in that. By the way, we've got a whole playlist talking about how to set up your resume for product management. And separately, we've got a whole playlist talking about product management in general. So check that out next. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.